Captain's Log Supplemental.
Hey Jeremy, you know those race cars you're busy building?
Yeah, I do.
You,
I
you,
got one
you
that I'm looking at every day.
you know what I don't see you working on?
You don't see me working on the amazing Sentinel system yet.
That's true. It would take all of 10 minutes for you to have one.
And it's very quick and easy to install.
It is. It is. And we could watch you when we are not at the race with you and see how you're doing. And then we can call you up when you get out of the car and tell you everything you did wrong.
And I love that because so many years I've been driving and not been able to see what I'm doing.
I know.
And now we can.
I know. You know what I'd like to do with the video? My most favorite thing is I take the video and I load it on YouTube and then I send it to my coach and say, look at 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Look at this one lap and tell me what I can do better. And every single time, you know what they say?
Everything.
Exactly. Precisely. So with the Sentinel system, you get instantaneous feedback plus useful feedback that unfortunately is accurate for my driving.
I think it's accurate for all of our driving.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's probably true. Yep. But you need to get one in your car, sir.
Yes, I do. And with the discount code that you're going to tell everybody, they can save 10% on this awesome system.
Yep. Trouble free. I haven't had an issue getting video every time we've gone out with the Sentinel. It's always worked. Can't say the same for some of the other systems we've tried. So I don't know. It's on the podcast notes down there. Don't do it while you're driving, though. We like to have our listeners live. It's good.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicki.
Returning guest alert.
Yep.
Not one, but two. We have them both. We have both Korf brothers. We have Mario and Ian on the same podcast. They are different people. It's proven. Welcome, guys.
Hi, I'm Ian. Oh, I'm also Ian.
Yep, you are.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Vicki.
No worries. So, apparently, not only sharing DNA, parents, and growing up, you both have a proclivity for blogs. One says you suck at racing, which obviously I subscribe to because I do. And the other one has Occam's Racer. Always fun. No question.
Yeah.
There. Just comment.
Okay. Ian started it a few years ago,
Is that how it got started? Okay.
Yeah, well, Ian started writing, and Ian's a good writer. And I was like, oh, Ian's doing this blog thing, and I'm a writer too. I should do something. So I just sort of followed in his footsteps. It took me a couple of years. And then mine is just, aerodynamics, and his is mostly driver mod. But
Yeah,
Oh,
it's fun.
okay.
Yeah, it's funny how we we cover two completely different things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now
So
you
right-
guys do race and you guys do share a car, or you guys have your own cars,
I
or
mean, I
just
think
host?
I think I retired. I did it
Mhm.
for 10 plus years, and I feel like I've retired now.
Hmm.
I never
we're
say
trying
never,
to-
but
We're trying to lure you back for pit race coming up, but I don't know. We'll see.
well,
Still
we shared a
TBD.
car at first. We bought
Mhm.
this $500 MR2, first gen MR2, and then we shared the next car, which was a Miata. And then Ian bought a Yaris, and then I was a guest in his car, and I bought a spec Miata, which modified for endurance racing, and he's been a guest in that car. So, that's because I moved to the East Coast. So when we were in California, we more or less shared cars. And then when I moved to the East Coast, we were just sort of guests on each other's teams. And doing things like what we did AER, Lemons, Jump Car, and Lucky Dog together.
Mm-hmm.
And, of all of those, I think we like them all. But isn't Lemons just the closest, the nearest and dearest to our hearts?
Yeah, the question is it because it was first though? Is
No,
that
it's because it's best.
So that is our theme for the evening. Why is Lemons the best racing series in the
Oh.
world?
Okay.
I have
It's
so
big,
many
heavy
reasons.
prep.
What should we start with?
Well, but one thing I wanted to make sure we went through is we can only comment on the ones we participated in. So you have AAR, as do I, Lucky Dog, which I think everybody has, Lemons, Champ Car, which we have not done, to be fair. Any WRL?
I've never done WRL. No.
Okay.
in fact, I haven't done WRL or AER, and I haven't done Champ Car, but I have done Chump Car.
Oh, well.
Just to make the distinction. Like I don't think I did Champ Car maybe I've done Chump Car and Champ Car. I think I actually was there after the name change. But
You
it's
were.
basically the same thing. Yeah,
You
but
were.
I did Chump Car also before that.
Yeah.
So I guess when you first start entering racing, there's everybody's got their own, like mine is the best. It just seems to be the way turfs are established, and everything else is inferior. And the one that seems to get picked on universally is Lemons, which is why we wanted to have this episode, because much of the bad talking about the Lemon series isn't accurate anymore. Like they'll talk about throwing oranges. They'll talk about whenever they used to crush the cars, they'll talk about, it's not really a $500 race car. It's not safe and blah, 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 blah. Because, things have progressed. But I didn't think that was quite fair nor accurate. So that's why when you guys said, hey, we want to do this, I said, yes, please. Let's do this, shall we?
What are the common misconceptions about Lemons? You said a couple of them, like that they crush your car or that they can buy your car off you. And of course, those things never happen. But what are the other common misconceptions?
That it's highly unsafe.
Yeah. Nobody knows how to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Closing speeds are too different.
Yes. Closing speeds.
Speed differential.
Speed differential.
No good racing because you can't find anybody at your speed.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard too crowded, which is somewhat accurate.
Yeah.
I can see that. But as far as, let's just start with safety. I have seen many cars that have passed other series fail Lemons Tech, not even the BS Tech, but Lemons Tech, for things that are fairly obvious and non-trivial.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So let me talk about my endurance race car, Miata, which had a logbook from SCCA, NASA, passed AER, Champ Car, Tech, and didn't pass Lemons Tech.
Ooh.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I had an old-fashioned halon fire extinguisher, no longer good. I had rear, like the backstays from the roll cage were at like a 30-degree angle.
Yeah, they were too vertical, right?
They're too horizontal.
Too horizontal.
And they didn't allow those. They're like an X bar. And they were like, no, they have
right.
to be 45 degrees plus or minus 5 degrees. So yeah, I had to weld in new bars, cage bars.
At the track.
But no, this is beforehand because I, talked to Pagel and said, was this going to fly? And he said, no, hell no.
Yeah.
He's like, how did it pass all of those other sanctioning bodies? Because we would never pass that.
Right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they give a shit, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
they do.
safety wise. And I think we were talking about this before, right before we got on the podcast, but they also don't go to some tracks. Like Lemons will never go to Watkins Glen, right?
Yeah.
And they're not going to go to Palmer.
No.
They're not going to go to probably Lime Rock or other places where it's just like car meets wall.
And it's not just because the paddock's not big enough. It's because there's aspects of the track that aren't safe enough in Lemon's mind to make sure that all their people go and come as they came. Did I say
Yeah, it's
that anywhere close to right? No, I did
no,
not.
but I think we understood. But
No.
I almost think about like when I think about different racetracks, I used to be a motorcyclist, and I think, would I ride a motorcycle on that track? Like Watkins Glen doesn't allow it. Like I
Hmm.
think there's one group that goes to Palmer. I think there's like, like nobody goes to Lime Rock. Those kinds of things. Like, is it safe for motorcycles? No. And then it's kind of the same group of, is it safe for lemons? No.
Hmm.
So yeah, safety first.
And it's in the beginning, I mean, Lemons, as far as I know, I wasn't there. Lemons was the first low budget endurance racing series, as far as I know. And in the beginning, the safety wasn't quite where it is today. I have heard that you were able to go with like the Velcro donut as opposed to a Hans device. You were able to, have a weld-in cage, but things have progressed in the, let's say, close to 20 years. I'm not sure, plus or minus a bit, but it's somewhere around 20 years. And that's not the case now, which is really what we're talking about.
Yeah, like the cage, if you look at the cage construction has changed over the years, and it's certainly yeah, there's stuff that wouldn't pass today that was there in the beginning. But I think that's just as they learned more about what it is, they became stricter. I think everybody did. Things like donuts. I think probably other places allowed donuts too, but
Sure.
I think everybody became more safety conscious. But I think that Lemons has generally been um, at the front of that. One thing that's interesting, though, in particular, is they don't require safety nets,
I talked to him about that.
No.
like a door net. Like
I,
that's like you find, like if you go to different places, you will find very different ideas about what safety looks like, whether you're talking about driving in the streets in the UK versus the US, there's some very
mhm,
different things that they do. But also like if you go to the Australian or New Zealand and you look at their endurance racing series and what their safety requirements are, they're slightly different. It's like
mhm,
different people have different ideas.
yep,
And yeah, and one of them is window nets.
yeah. I talked to Lemons about it, and they said they're more concerned with getting in and out of the car or getting to a driver than they are with something going in the window.
I could
Makes
see
sense.
that.
I don't know the numbers, so I can't say which one's better. I just that's their logic. But if you go to a couple of friends of ours have done HPDs and track days in Europe. In Europe, you're supposed to have your windows up, and I've never been to one in the U.S. where the
Wow.
windows are up. It's always down.
Except in the rain, right? In the rain, they'll sometimes let you go
Nope.
Not
with your
even
windows up.
we haven't been to one where they did, but that
You're
doesn't
not
mean they
allowed to
don't.
Oh,
have any windows.
well, I've seen one for the rain. They'll let you do it. It's pouring rain.
Yeah, you just get
Yeah.
wet.
Well,
Yeah.
let's move on. That's like, so we know that lemons is safest, and we said that. But
Well,
here's one I really want that I want to bring up. And I think this is the biggest misnomer, which is that there's no good racing.
Hmm.
Okay. So on any given team, on any given team, you have your fast person and you have your slow person.
Hmm.
And in between those people is 10 seconds.
Yeah, probably. And if it's
Most teams.
multi-class, it's worse than that.
Yeah, but I'm just even on your same team. You
Oh, even the
probably
same
have
car, same team. Yeah. Yep.
same car, same team. There's 10 seconds between your fastest driver and your slowest driver. So even if your car and every other car was a replicant of your car with your drivers in the car, you're no good racing on your own team. So you can't blame a series and say, oh, yeah, there's too much disparity in the cars. There's too much disparity in your damn team.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you're racing lemons, you do hook up. You find other people to race with and you race them and you have the best time. Like and it happens in, well, a yard champ car, lucky dog as well. You'll find people to hook up with and race with,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that just happens. So it's not like there's not enough people to race with. There always is. And Lemons has fantastic racing, right?
Yep.
It's always the people that you hook up with, right? And
Yep.
they're usually well-mannered and decent drivers, not the, the asshats that people make them out to be.
Yeah. If you don't have a car near you that's going the same speed as you, you will either catch up to one or have one catch up to you pretty quickly because let's just say it's 100 cars because some of the races around here have more. Most of them around here have more. Some of the West Coast races have more, but let's say the average is 100. You've got a distribution of 100 cars with the distribution within each car of the different driver capabilities, like we talked about, and those have a high probability of overlap. And that's when you get good racing because you have two cars that are, or three cars that are similar in pace and capabilities. But they may get to a different lap time a different way, and that's really what makes it fun.
Yeah, I think that like I don't want to be in a race with less than 100 cars. Honestly, like go to Laguna Seca and there'll be 40 cars on track, and I'll be driving several laps wondering where anybody is.
Mhm.
Like I haven't seen a person in the last 15 minutes driving.
Yeah.
I'm all by myself. It's like I don't want that. I want
It's
to have,
boring.
yeah, I want 100 cars on the track
It's an
minimum.
HBD then.
You want to navigate traffic.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Otherwise, if I'm just going out there like to do time trials and stuff like that, that's when I don't really want anybody around. If I'm just trying to work on my craft or I'm working on trying to get my best lap, yeah, I don't really want to be interrupted by other people. But if I'm in a race, I do want to be interrupted by people. I want people all around me, and I want to have my head on a swivel, and I want to be solving this multi-dimensional problem all around me of different speeds and different, people around, and having to figure out how to drive through this corner where there's people on the inside and the outside, and it's like that's to me where the fun is those. So 100 people, 100 cars on track is, I want to say that's a minimum in a typical like 2.5 mile race. I want to have 100 people minimum. I mean, I've never been in a race and said to myself, this is too many cars.
Yes, you have.
Have I?
216.
But that wasn't too many cars. It was a 5 mile track.
Two. Okay. It seemed like too many cars to me. We set that it was the Guinness Book of World Records, most cars in a closed circuit race, Lemons
Mhm.
race that we did.
Right.
And that was a Lemons race. And of course, who else would do that but Lemons? Um, you know, last year I went out to the same track, Thunderhill, and they did the 3 tracks, 1 race.
Mhm.
They ran Thunderhill 5 mile forward and backward, and then they ran the 3 mile. And no one else but Lemons is going to do that. That's another great reason.
In this middle of the race, they stopped in the middle of the day and they said,
Yep.
all right, let's turn around and go the other direction.
Turn around in the pit and go backwards.
Insane.
Yeah.
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 But also insanely fun. It was great. I think one of the reasons people don't like Lemons is because Lemons is unabashedly making fun of racing. As it's about like not taking it so seriously. I think there's a lot of people who are really serious about racing, and Lemons does not take itself seriously. Now, there are people in Lemons who at the pointy end are taking it very, very seriously.
At the pointy end.
They're taking it very seriously, but the overall undercurrent is this is all a party. This is like a big joke, and we're making fun of people. The whole like, let's be serious about racing. And I think if you don't have a sense of humor about it, you might not really get it.
But most of the cars, at least around here, and when we've traveled, when they're on track, they're serious.
Yeah.
They're trying. They may not have the skills of, a top level team, but it's also made to be an entry level, grow the sport kind of series, and serve everybody from beginner to 50 years of experience.
Here's another thing I think about when I think about people who are hating on one series versus another. Have you driven the other series? Like,
Usually, no.
are you making this informed judgment? Because when every series I've driven in, it's been like you can't tell once you're on track which series you're in. All the driving is the same, the cars are the same, the people are basically the same. It's like the same people doing endurance racing in lots of different series. And there's people who hate on Chump Car. I had some of the friendliest people I met and some of the nicest people. They were like, I went to the race with a bunch of buddies, and we did a race with people who had never been on track before.
Hmm.
Literally, not even an HBD session. And we put the guys, and I was like, friend of mine from several years ago. I said, "You want to come out and do this race?" He's like, "I've never been on track before." I was like, "Don't worry about it. It's not a very car-rider race because it's a Chump Car race out in California. They're not very well attended. I'll just talk to people ahead of time and let people know that we're like new." And so I told people in the driver's meet, I was like, "You know what? There's a race going on and we're not in it. So, just, chill out with us and be kind to us." And everybody was really nice and encouraging to us. And we had a great time, even though like, one person got scared the shit out of them being on the track. And then, one of the major, victories was him getting over his fear and going out and having a good time. And like that happened in a Chump Car race.
Yep.
Lucky Dog is incredibly family friendly.
Hmm.
So much so that like, teams get penalized not for their on-track behavior, like for causing accidents, but for driving in a way that could have caused an accident in a video review saying, actually, that's too aggressive for our series. You're banned for, whatever, for a year. That happens in Lucky Dog. It's very family friendly. And I think like all the series are actually more similar than they are different. And anybody who's saying, oh, this one or this one, like hating on one or the other, probably hasn't experienced enough of them.
I
Yeah.
just think that each series just has a vibe. And
Yeah. So what are the different vibes? What do you think?
Well, no, wait, before we go into the vibe, hold on. I just want to add another thing to what Ian said. All of the people I know that are really against lemons have never raced lemons.
Mm.
Yeah.
But they've
Yeah. So
heard,
like, well, yeah, they've heard, they've never experienced it firsthand, and they're unwilling to experience it firsthand.
or they saw a video
That's
from
because they're real
'03.
racers.
Yeah,
They're
real
they're
racer.
they're real racers. They are real
The
racers.
real racers wouldn't do that stuff.
No, real racers will take a couple of Matchbox cars and try and see who goes down the street faster. Yeah.
Whatever ride on they have, lawnmower.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
let's
But
go
vibe.
from the other side. What's the matter with having fun? Like
What's the matter with what?
having fun at the racetrack. I mean, if you take the counterpoint and say, "Hey, this is real racing. We need to be serious." Well, why can't we have fun? I have fun every time I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't.
if you put it that way, it's very dumb to say, "Well, all they do is have fun." Well, yeah, and is this a problem? I don't know.
I remember somebody in a lemons race was complaining about lemons or whatever. He's like, actually, it was almost causing an accident, I believe, in the parking lot or something horrible like this happened. And the person was like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win. And the rebut to that was, well, you're not doing either one.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. The number of
but
people who are natural
what do you
racers.
win?
I don't know. Every time we win something, we donate it. So I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
So let's introduce the vibe section as let me give you a really good example of Lemon's vibe. So there's a team on the West Coast called Dick Ass. And
Yep.
Dick Ass is
Yep.
an actual brake manufacturer in China. They
Oh, I
make-
thought it was a car manufacturer. It's just brakes. Okay.
Oh, maybe car part manufacturer. They changed their name from Dick Ass to something else, which is almost equally as bad. But they called themselves Team Dick Ass, and it was really funny. They had like big banners up and other stuff like this, and they didn't know the track very well, and they're into Buttonwillow, and they start going to track entrance, and they go the wrong direction towards the track entrance.
how?
Like they're literally heading towards the other
No.
side of it. Yeah. And so then the judge, gets on the bullhorn and says, "Hey, Team Dick Ass, you're going in the out hole." That is lemons in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
What would have happened if it was Champ Car?
Oh, somebody would have got their butt hurt all over it and, filed a protest.
I mean, what would have happened in AER or in Lucky Dog? Are we trying to like classify these things?
I don't know if that same situation, like they might have it's just the humor is there in lemons. Let's make it into a funny situation.
Mhm.
Okay,
mean,
so
Lemons is set to make it's your first. It's set to have it be possible for it to be your first time ever being on track, and everybody else, better or worse. Well, not worse. I guess you can't be worse than negative, but whatever. So with that, they recognize it, and if anybody thinks back when they first got to the track for the first time, did you know what to do? No.
Okay, hey, Ian, this is something Ian's really good at. Ian's
What?
really good at assigning Dungeons and Dragons alignments to virtually anything. What's the
Racing series as alignments.
as alignments?
Yeah, well, obviously lemons is chaotic good.
See, there we go, right away. Okay, chaotic good. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
Lucky Dog,
Lucky Dog,
lawful good.
nah, more like neutral good. Maybe lawful good, but maybe neutral. Definitely
No,
on the
I,
good
th- I
spectrum.
think that Lucky Dog's vibe is definitely family.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not it's not a party atmosphere as much as it is a happy hour to, post dinner, but yeah, 8 o'clock, there's racing going to be happening the next day. So, but there is humor. There is a little bit of Lemon's humor in Lucky Dog because there's crossovers. So Lemons takes their fun cars over and just kind of shakes that up, but it's not crowded and the racers are faster in that one.
It can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the prep level of the cars is generally a little higher. People are spending more money on their car than Lucky Dog.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say they're as safe. I mean, I'm sure to the safety of
They just have a different philosophy on
they
the window
right.
nuts. And
Right. I don't think
it
that they
wasn't what you
check
were
as
used
in
to.
detail because I know in the other races, I'm pretty sure that there's an assumption that you've done everything correctly instead of actually crawling all over your car, crawling all over your equipment.
You know who does crawl over the equipment? Grid Life.
Hmm.
They do a really good job. I mean, I must say that their safety tech
Mhm.
inspection is
Right.
up there with Lemons.
Yeah, I'm not saying that these other places are unsafe. I just think that they check for different things
Mhm.
instead of like cables on the batteries. You guys have been working and building these cars. They're not going to be checking stuff like that, you know. So, but these cars are also built cars instead of just something that you kind of put together in a garage.
There's no IOEs is basically what's not there.
Right. Right. It's a different way that they look at things.
So
But I would
if
say, yeah, there's a little bit of Lemons crossover that goes into Lucky Dog, when those that are in the vicinity of it. So, um, I think some of that humor crosses over into that, and a little bit of the party atmosphere crosses over, but not like Lemons.
So
Well,
I think Chump Car also has very much a family sort of orientation to it. There's a lot of
Mhm.
families that are racing there, but I feel like that it's also maybe more like a couple of friends get together, but they're racing enthusiast friends, whereas like Lemons, a bunch of coworkers got together as a lark and decided to do this and then
Hmm. Right.
figured out later on that they love it. Whereas in
Hmm.
like Chump Car, it's more like people who are actually like they like racing and they get together because they like racing.
Right.
And my perspective, having not done Champ Car, is that people who do Champ Car are more. They tend to be more prevalently involved with the building of the car.
Hmm.
I think the rules encourage you to be creative about your building within the framework, whereas Lemons
Really?
encourages you to be building outside of the framework. Like if you want to do something like make active aero on your car, or like put fans on it, or do something crazy that no other racing series would allow, Lemons you can probably get away with it. You can experiment with things that no other thing would find legal. Whereas
Right.
in Chimp Car, it's like, here are the rules. Let's see what we can do within the scheme of the rules. I have this many square feet of this, and I have this and this and this. Like you have to plan out your build. Like if you like building to a specification, even if you don't believe in the specification or like it, there is like an optimization to try and build the right car. I think that probably people who are builders like that.
Yeah.
well,
Hmm.
that was one of my problems with the channel car, though, which was that every year my car changed points. They changed the base value and the points for radiators and the points for something else, like virtually every year.
Literally every
Hmm.
when we were doing it, hopefully it's been stabilized by now, but literally every year.
The radiators
Yeah.
20 points. No, no, it's 10 points. No, no, we're going to make radiators free.
The
No, it's back to 20 points.
the base value of the cars changed every time, all the time.
Yeah.
Because and they had this huge rule book because like it's these different values for this and this and the other thing where it's like Lemons there is none. It's like it's just a
Well, I
safe.
think Lemons focuses on creativity more than it does on actual winning. Because
Yeah,
if you notice, even when they do their wrap ups, it's like, well, these are the winners and who cares? But look at this freaking car that has the tailpipes pointing to each other. So it cancels itself out on noise.
yeah,
They had, or it's, somebody had built like, where they put two motorcycle engines together or something like that, something weird.
There's two engines.
But if it runs, then you get like
yeah,
creativity versions of it, They'd like
yeah.
to see stuff that's weird and different.
Yeah, the M-Rolla, that was the first one. They cut a Corolla in half and glued it to an MR2 and called it the M-Rolla. And then
Right,
yeah, and later on they had an FX16 that they put a front engine in back and they called an FX32.
right.
Legendary Lemons build that is. Yeah.
I know we have one that's a 19, someone on our in our series, which is 1936 Buick with a Cadillac underneath of it, kind of, making it run, and they call it the Buell-Lac. It doesn't
Nice.
go very fast, but it's pretty impressive to put out on there and just see it going around. You just don't see stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be very hard in the Champ Car rules to put a dual engine car in there. That would sort of or Active Arrow would be like, how is that going to work in there? Like,
Yeah. I
that's
just
like,
the only time I looked at Champ Car, we had two cars to choose from, and both of them would have been in whatever their, out of class super. In Lucky Dog, it'd be Super Dog,
Mhm.
and the cars weren't fast.
right.
Weren't fast at all. It was just like,
I mean, I raced a Yaris in Champ Car. I mean, I raced a car that was at 200 points. Like, there's a 500 point system. I showed up with a 200 point car. It's like, did you modify it to get more than 200 points? No, it's just 200 points. It's like, let's just
Yeah.
go racing. And I think some people are totally fine with that.
hmm
yeah,
Some
It's
people, though,
whatever
are
you
sort
look
of like,
at.
"Hey, you guys are going a little bit slow for the rest of us," but whatever, it's like, it's in every racing series, it looks like that. If you go to the SCCA runoffs and you look at the difference in time in like the most restrictive classes are things like Spec Racer Ford, right?
hmm
It's like
yeah.
all the cars are basically identical. And you look through the field and see how different the times are. There's some really big gaps in that. And these are all the people that made it to the runoffs. If you go to regional races and stuff like that, you'll see gaps in there that are huge.
Even if you
So,
do 24-hour Le Mans
yeah.
between all those classes, there's still a huge amount of car speed disparities
And
and
I don't
closing
understand
speeds.
why anybody would complain about that. The differences in the closing speed is what makes it exciting. Like, I don't want to be everybody around there going the same speed. It's like, how doesn't sound like fun to
And
me.
yet we've had these discussions. I certainly have had these discussions with teammates and other people about like why lemon sucks. And then they've never done it. And they cite all of those things that you just
Yeah.
said. Um,
Well, if you were gonna let's say this. Gotta get into question. If you were coming up with an endurance racing series, how
Hmm.
would you want the vibe to be? What would you do to make the vibe be like? What's the vibe that you'd be looking for?
I mean, to me, we always say we love racing Lucky Dog because it's kind of the blend. It's got a little bit of serious racing, a little bit of, they care about the cars and the cars are a little better, but there's still a lot of fun. But that doesn't mean Lemons isn't just as good because they've got a different target. There's no IOEs in Lucky Dog. So you truncate the field a little bit. But I don't mind those IOEs. So it's kind of Lucky Dog or Lemons. I'm happy at either one.
Is there any kind of rules that you would make to 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 make sure that your vision of racing, like I have a specific one. I guess that's what I'm leading. What would
I
I
have
do?
one.
Yeah.
I want a spec tire
Yeah,
brand.
me too. Do you know what the spec? Well,
It wouldn't be 200.
it wouldn't be 200.
Nope.
That's what I would do. I would go for a 300 or 400. That's how I would want to change things a little bit, is because I don't think people would be like, oh, then people are sliding all over the place. Listen,
Uh-huh.
you always drive to the level of grip you have.
Yep.
But if you are on 300s or 400s, you're talking about lower speeds, so it's safer, not
hmm
less safe. You're talking about less wear on the cars, less wear on the people. It's actually would be better racing and there's more parity between the different classes of cars when you put people on a harder tire. I don't
Yeah.
think we need to have like the war that happens, the 200 tread wear tire, war, and it's like, oh yeah, these things only last like 6 hours or whatever the hell it is. It's like, screw
Well, there's
that.
some that last forever, like, the RS4 is one of our known, multiple races, never mind multiple days. But if you want to try to win, you know,
Yeah.
unless you're in Lucky Dog where it's a spec tire,
hmm
you're a couple of seconds a lap down and you're going to have to make it up some other way, which I'm not saying you can't, but if you get some of the super 200 tread wears, those last one day maybe. But you're 3 seconds a lap faster on most tracks. So that's hard to do when you're doing 400 or 500 laps. I would want something that's a higher tread wear tire, as long as it's resistant to like chunking
Yeah.
and breaking down and stuff. So I would have to do some testing because I don't know those, because basically everything we go on the track is 200 tread wear except for Michelin's, which they're fine, but I don't want to have a $500 spec tire either. So there's got to be something out there that's in the 300 or 400. Maybe it's the Mucho Machos, maybe it's the Walmart ones. The problem you get into is then if you have a truly a spec tire, not just a spec treadwear. If you have a truly spec tire, you have to have a lot of different sizes, and that's where I think some of the trouble gets into.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a spec tire list is easy enough. Like you could just
Yeah.
say the following, any tire that equal to the following. But we're getting off the topic. We haven't talked about why Lemons is the best racing series for a while here.
Well, we went towards what would we want. So yes, let's get back to, let's pretend we have a focus on this podcast. That would be a change for us, but we're going to pretend we have a focus.
I mean, we already said like safety was number one, and
Yep.
number two was sort of like there's always good racing in anything, so there's good racing. Number three was sort of like build creativity.
Yeah.
And vibe. We're kind of getting to that.
But at the same time, for build, you want to have the ability for, when we started, Garage Heroes in Training, me, and Vicki, we had no mechanical skill. So we also needed a way to let us in. So you didn't have to have mechanical capability. You were also welcome to the pool. I'd want to be inclusive as much as I can. Grow the sport. That's why we do a podcast. That and to help people get better.
Do you think that this various series, I think generally most series are being pretty inclusive? I haven't run into a whole lot of, other than like, it's not very, all racing is expensive, so it's not going to be inclusive on that side of things. But I feel like most of the racing series have been inclusive. I don't know. Let's take a look.
Okay. Well, I want to know that one. Yes, they are. They are very inclusive.
With the drivers.
But it also depends on what you bring. I mean, I've seen people roll a $10,000 car, in some of the series versus what can you bring to the series. So I think that depending on what your actual affordability is to race is how well that you'll perform in all these other places.
When you're first starting, it doesn't matter what you bring. You're not going to win.
No.
Which series do you think has the most gender or ethnic diversity?
Oh, let's not talk about that.
Okay.
Grid life.
God damn it! You started it.
No, we're not. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. I would just
just like my last job. We spent like half of every meeting making sure everybody was okay with what I just said. So, this is a fucking podcast, so I just want to say fuck all of you. Yes, we'll move on. Okay.
Moving on.
Okay.
I've already moved on.
Thank you. But all of those reasons, I think that Lemons is fantastic, right? Like it's great, and you just kind of touched on it. It's a great place to start. It's a great place to grow.
But it's a great place if you're, Dale's been doing racing for how long? I mean, he's got to be 50,000 years old with all the birthdays he has. But seriously, in real birthdays, he's had a few, and he's still enjoying it. And he got out there last season. It's good for the first time in forever racers.
I have another question. What is a legitimate gripe about Lemons? Can you give me a legitimate gripe? I can give you one.
Oh, no, hold on.
All right.
I'm still
Can't answer
pondering.
your own question.
Well, I can if nobody else is opening their mouth.
There seems to be some kind of bro shit that goes on between certain teams. Like people that have been there a long time don't get scrutinized. Like if you show up in your new team, they're going to say, we're going to slap 20 laps on you. Like the first time we showed up with an MR2 and they put us in A class with 20 laps. And we're like, dude, we don't even know what the hell we're doing. And then there's other teams who are never again scrutinized. They bring a turbo Miata, they bring a BMW, whatever. And just because they've done a couple races now, they're just like grandfathered in with 0 laps at the sharp end. And you're like, yep, there's going to be a E46 with no clever livery or anything that's going to win it again. And I think that I'm talking about California.
Okay.
And that kind of
specifically, you're talking about you mad bro and like hella shitty or something. those guys, well prepared teams with, or
Yeah.
eyesore racing.
See,
Or remember Southwest, and then they finally dynoed those people, right? They brought a dyno and made everybody dyno, and they caught a whole bunch of cheaters that they would say, just tell us what you're at, and they'd be like, oh, we're at 240 horsepower, and they're like blowing 320,
Mm.
or
see,
whatever.
see, I'm still of the opinion that if you win A once or twice or pick a number, you should go into exhibition class or go get a different car. I mean, you can still race. You're welcome to race, but I mean,
Well, that's what the penalty laps are. If you win, just take 10 penalty laps.
they just started doing that up here. I'm not sure what they do it out west or not, but
They
out
did
here,
Well,
it. They did it for a couple of years. They took the people who had been serial winners like Cerveza and Eyesore, and they put some penalty laps on them. And then they stopped doing it. I just felt like it felt bad. It's like we don't really need to do that. That's not that's
but the
not there
shark
was
pan, yeah, but that because of that, speed creep has worked into Class A. That's the only gripe I had. And it just seemed like there was a little bro stuff going on there. Like it wasn't like, once you were in for a bit, you were like, you're in that upper group that they don't care about. Yeah, you guys are just racing and nobody else can get in. Am I
Mm.
wrong?
I don't
I,
see that
I really don't
much.
see that. No.
Maybe a
Maybe we're
California thing.
only mostly East Coast with lemons, so
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely some team to team variability, but that's part of lemons. That why is this an A car and why is this a B car?
well,
It's
like
really,
yeah.
as Mental always says, it's a strength of personality, and sometimes there's going to be some variability in that. So,
I think that the issue is the arbitrariness of the classing. Like they'll just say, "Oh, this is A car, this is B car, this is C car." Now, if you look at a team like Eyesore, right? I mean, Dave Coleman is one of the people who builds the car, and he's like a Mazda engineer. Like he's one of the people who is building the NC and ND or designing or whatever. You
mhm,
know, is it fair for us to be competing against somebody like him? Here's the thing: their car is legitimately a $500 car. Like
right.
every single other person is out there racing like really expensive shit. Even my Yaris is a more expensive car than their build. So if you're thinking about like the spirit of the rules, like the spirit of the rules, they built that stuff, and that's the chunk of junk that is ridiculously fast. So on the one hand, yeah, it's an overdog because it's so much faster. On the other hand, they built it themselves for peanuts. So
But
I
but
think it's
I think that that is not the spirit of lemon, is actually winning. I mean, I know that there's a certain aspect of it, and there's a lot of different levels of people that do come in, and they can't really predict, like, well, this person's engineer and they built this car in such a way, and when you have 120 cars that are coming through, and they have to somehow categorize 120 cars, but for them, it's just a matter of these are fresh builds most of the time. They've never had an opportunity to test run these cars because they don't have a place to actually, nobody's really racing to the point of, we're going to go test this car at a series because we're going to go for a win. They're lucky that their car doesn't blow up like on the track. And that's kind of where Lemons is. It's a race by experiment. Now, and that's just bringing the mentality of the other, serious racers who have, people, thousands of dollars involved in their builds just outside of, their own garage. I, I don't think the focus is so much on winning. I think there's a certain group of people, yeah, but
Well,
I
I
think
think
it's
that,
not that it's only about winning. It's just that that's one aspect of it. Whereas other racing, it's almost the only aspect of it.
right.
mhm,
I think if you go
right.
into a lemons race and you worry too much about winning, you're probably not going to have that much and nearly as much fun as if you go out there and just say,
Yes.
yeah,
Well, there's
like
a
I,
lot more challenges in lemons when you have 100 and some cars on the track. It's
yeah,
most of your time is traffic management, to be honest, strategizing and traffic management versus trying to get your best time in,
yeah.
you know.
I think some lemons teams definitely show up to try and win.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah, but there's other teams like, like what were my instructions to my team half the time? I would say things like, we're not here to win. We're just out here to make some fast cars look stupid.
I mean, our classic is, if we wanted to win, we would have brought a different car and different drivers.
Yeah. Good
And
point.
it's not far off from the truth.
Yeah, and you know what also I find a lot in lemons is because it is the essentially one of the entry levels of racing. Is that there is a lot of learning that goes on, just not only from racing, but learning how, I mean, people are learning how to improve their cars. They're even learning how to work on their cars because there's so many people that have their heads in everybody else's car that there's a certain aspect of complete um entry level when you're getting the whole sensation. You're getting what it feels like to be wheel to wheel. You're getting what it feels like to actually work a hot pit. These people have never done this before. And, it's there's a certain point when you're ready to outgrow lemons and move on comfortably into the other series like AR or something. Um, and then there's a whole different level of racing that takes place. You've already figured out how to build your car and work on your car and know what your car can do and the sensations that, you're meant to feel in those cars.
Right.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I started off lemons racing, and then it felt like I grew it and decided I
Yeah.
was going to do SCCA and stuff like that, and then came back to lemons, and it's like this is a better form of racing to me. There aren't enough cars. They're all the same speed. It's like the race isn't long enough. Like there's a whole bunch of
hmm
reasons where it's like SCCA sprint racing is like, I get it. That's the thing for some people. But for me, I want to be in the car for an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever, mixing it up with all people at different speeds and 100 other cars on track. And
Sounds
that's
like
what I want. And the SCCA doesn't give you that.
that sounds like a
hmm
guy who's far from retiring. I'm just saying, you know.
I mean, I totally agree too. I think that like having done a few different racing stuffs, like feel like AER is sort of at this kind of really cool level with their RFID stuff and being able to look at laps, and they're a polished and a very fun racing.
They are.
And
We had a good
yeah,
time.
yeah, for sure. But I really just want to get back to racing a boat. You know, I we had the most fun the first couple of years, and not just because it was the first couple of years. Um, it was just I think that Vicky, you were kind of alluding to this, but like you can be in the pits and you're talking to people and fixing your car. Lemons has this sort of like, oh, let me drop what I'm doing and fix your car. You know,
Right.
whereas you're not going to see that in other series where it's like, dude, I've got a race to win. I've got to fix my own car, or I've got to be here and ready for this. But you see people in Lemons just jump over the wall and help other
Yep.
people out.
Right.
And
Sharing
I've
Right.
learned,
parts.
yeah, and also I've learned so much from, well, I didn't know jack shit about cars either. Like I still don't. But like then you'd have somebody working on your car and you learn things. And like the last race I was at, these guys were having these problems with their car stalling and this and that. I said, hey, you've got water in your gas. And they were like, what? I was like, yeah, dump your tank. It's water. They were gonna tear their whole car apart. They came back to me later. They were like, you're right. We brought this huge drum of gas and it had water in it, and we just dumped
hmm
it over. And I was like, I know, because the same thing happened to me a little while ago. And I just
Right.
passed on that knowledge. And they were like, dude, you saved us a whole day. And it was, that kind of thing happened to me. I received that kind of help so many times at Lemons, right?
But
Yeah.
what about,
Okay.
I feel like I had the same experience though in Chump Car and Lucky Dog. The pits are
Yeah.
equally helpful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like.
We've had that in Lucky Dog, but not to the extent like,
Like lemons
not
guys will and girls will just grab the wrench out of your hand and throw an elbow and get you
right.
out of the way and
Right.
just take over.
Yeah. I mean, we've had those experiences also, but I just think that probably because there's so many people that
Yeah.
are just idling around at Lemons where it just feels like there's a wave of people that come in and is pushing your car into there and they're jumping into their into all your tools ready to hop in and problem solve. You got six guys around problem solving, you got another six around, drinking and pointing and you know,
Well,
helping out.
I'm not going to derail the episode, but I might. The good thing is that we live in a time where not only can you get access to a track, and not only is there six, seven, eight, I don't even know how many endurance racing series across the US alone, but each one has its own flavor. It's kind of like ice cream. And eventually you find the ice cream flavor you like. And some people are going to like AER more than everything else. And some people are going to like Lucky Dog
Mhm.
more. And some people are going to like lemons. I think the point of when I got really excited to have this episode with you guys was lemon seems to get kicked a lot. And I don't think any of that is deserved.
Yeah, agree.
I agreed. Yeah, and I think it's being kicked by people who haven't tried it yet, and they should really just show up to a race and see what it's like on track and see what it's like in the pits before
Yeah.
they make their judgments. I think that's true of all the series, though. They're all going to get. I think Champ Car gets a some bad blood, especially from people in California. We have long memories out here, and
Yeah.
basically Lemon started the whole thing, and then Champ Car went in and basically copied verbatim the rule book and various other stuff, and just sort of like said like I'm going to steal that idea. And and people in California didn't really like all of the person who ran it and all sorts of other stuff, despite the actual person who was running things out in the West Coast is Kathy, and everybody loves Kathy. Like,
Kathy's
like
awesome.
Mhm.
yeah, like Kathy is as an important figure in modern endurance racing as J Lamb.
Mhm.
Right.
Coming back on the podcast, hopefully in the next week or two. We'll see.
Hey, before we
Uh,
move on, what's everyone's favorite ice cream?
Chocolate.
Just straight
Mint
up
chocolate chip or coffee.
I go with mocha chip, which is basically coffee with the semi-sweet chocolate chips. Yeah.
I make my own. I don't really like ice cream, but I did actually get one of those Ninja Creamies,
Mhm.
which is like a way of making ice cream. You freeze a block of stuff and then you kind of shave it rather than you churn it. And
Uh-huh.
I got this for my wife's birth as a birthday present for my wife, so that I would make her coffees. And I mean ice cream, and I came up with a coffee ice cream that has become my favorite ice cream. It's actually a mixture of coffee and maple sugar, like the maple cream stuff that it's like just like pure
Hmm.
maple sugar. So it's a maple coffee ice cream, and that's my favorite ice cream.
Hmm.
If coffee doesn't taste good as ice cream, I'm not going to try coffee, but that's just me.
Oh yeah, well, I could turn a non-coffee drinker into a coffee drinker with that ice cream. I swear to God, it
Sounds like
happened
we
to
have
me.
to go race on the West Coast.
Mhm.
Yeah, too bad you sold your car.
Oh, what? Yes. What track? Think about
Actually,
this.
did you give it away or did you sell it?
I
You
sold
sold.
it for very little money, but
We've
to a
given
friend.
away at least two different three. How many cars have we given away?
I've basically given away three cars, race
We gave
cars.
away the MR2
Yeah.
to a team that didn't race it. We gave away the
Miata
Miata to
to
Def Power.
Def Power Racing.
Oh, is that where they got
Uh,
it? Oh, nice.
yeah. I
You
basically
gave the E30 to
to
Winsome.
Ben.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's three.
The Yaris was not given away, but it was sold for s- less than like cost it would to put a cage in a car.
Right.
Or about it's similar to a cost it would if you just had a free Yaris and you wanted to cage it, it would be about that expensive. And it has had a lot of upgrades in it.
Right.
Yeah.
We raced at Death Power at Charlotte Roval with Lucky Dog.
Oh,
Yeah. Nice guys.
They are.
Yeah. I wonder if they
Yeah.
can consume this podcast via uh
They're one of the chief reasons we put it on YouTube because they can get the subtitles.
transcriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, they're
oh
not
shit.
accurate at all, but they can figure it out.
Yeah. Probably get used to that. Yeah. So
I
what
just
what
think they're lucky they don't have to listen to me.
let's imagine you were going to come out here for a West Coast race.
Okay.
What track do you want to go to? We have a lot of great tracks out here.
Thunderhill.
Thunderhill.
Banner 5 Mile, man.
Thunderhill
Vicki,
or the
do you have
Ridge.
an opinion? There's
Oh,
the
the
Ridge, there's
Ridge.
Pacific Raceways, there's Button Willow, Willow Springs,
Not
there's
Willow.
the Big Willow Basil, so there's the Streets of Willow, there's
Dog Thief Mile or something.
Chuckawalla. Yeah, they don't really run stuff on that one, but
The
Laguna
other one I've heard
Seca,
is
Sonoma,
ORP.
ORP. Yeah, there's a ton of really great tracks out here.
We got nothing out here. I mean, we got,
There's a lot of the density of tracks on the East Coast is impressive.
yeah, they're just
Yeah,
none of them are near us, but that's okay.
yeah. There's some areas like northern, like northeast Canada has so many little tracks here and there. Some of them are closed now, but if you go to the West Coast, there aren't hardly any. It's like
Hmm.
how did that happen? Why? Like if you go to northern, like Northwest Canada, it's like where are the tracks? Like how many tracks are there? There's like this little mission track or
Only a couple, I
some
think.
is yeah.
Well, maybe they have to worry about weather.
There's less weather because it's right next to the ocean, I think, like when you're right on the coast there. But there's like Castrol, which is like inland, but that's closed now.
Maybe
This
they
area
just have
that
a
you are.
shorter racing season than.
But
I
if you
think
can
that
drive in the rain, that's
I think
awesome.
it's because the skiing is better.
Yeah.
Like if you've got really good skiing, you don't need a car race. It's like the same thrill.
That doesn't explain Mont Tremblant.
No, it doesn't. But that's okay. I want to go there too. My favorite track is the
But
next one.
yeah, that's right. But we still have strayed so far off topic here.
Have we?
Uh,
Have we
yeah,
ever not?
Mario is always trying to get. Why is he always trying to get us back on topic?
I don't know.
It,
Order.
it-
I need a little bit of order in my life, I
we
suppose.
we were thinking we could just rename the podcast the Brownie in Motion podcast and see who gets it.
What else is good about lemons? I'll tell you one good thing about lemons. John Pagel is one of the best parts of
He's
it.
he's on it.
He is. He is a safety fucking like he is really into the safety. Like he's so into safety. Like that he lives and breathes that stuff. And he doesn't take any shit,
He's
people.
very
The first time you meet him, though, you're like,
yeah, you're kind of shaken because especially with that fresh build, you don't know if you're going to be kicked off, you paid all the money and he'll find it. But the nice thing is too is that you can contact him at any time and he'll walk you through what needs to have happen at any time.
I think
Yep.
he's a really speaking of very important people in endurance racing, like in budget endurance racing, like he basically figured out the rules for this stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's the person who other people are copying with the rules. And then here's the thing, and personally, I actually live, maybe a mile and a half away from him. Super nice guy.
oh yeah.
Like, yeah, like
When I
off.
say he's intimidating, I didn't mean it. It was his.
Yeah,
It
like
was
well, I mean,
just
he has to be in his job, but like in his as a person,
yeah.
such a nice guy.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were set to do his cage building course with him pre-plague, and
Oh yeah.
it never happened on the East Coast. But
Yeah,
we're
that's
still
too bad.
watching. We're waiting. We'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So Mario, where did we wander from? What do you want to talk about for lemons? What
No,
what?
I think we got everything. We actually did hit the high points, just not in a very
Okay.
organized manner. And we said it was a great race. I mean, we kind of ended with it's a great racing series to start with, and it's also a great racing series to end with. Like
Yeah.
Ian's denouement in racing, and mine might be just to go back to lemons.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. If I was
I
going to go
never.
racing again, it would be lemons for
Would
sure.
be Lucky Dog at Pit Race? What did you say?
Actually, I would have a very hard. I was just thinking, but or would it be Lucky Dog?
Lucky
Well,
Dog
Lucky
at Pit
Dog, yeah.
Race?
We didn't really talk about Lucky Dog much, or how it basically um, put Champ Car out of business on the West Coast, which is kind of interesting.
Do you think
But
it did?
yeah, it did.
100%.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But
100%.
one thing I wanted to just mention that you said, Vicky, earlier, you were like, it's like happy hour, whereas like, um, lemons is more like party. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, speaking of happy hour, I don't think I've ever gone to like teched my equipment and then immediately had shots.
Right.
And that's Lucky Dog. I think it should say Lucky Dog 2 drink minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Right
Right. Right.
as soon as you come in, because
Right.
it's a funny party atmosphere, but it's happy hour. Nobody's going crazy or wearing costumes, but
Right.
2 drink minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, they're out there. They kind of have their thing, but it's like woohoo. The whole thing that we always tease about. It's like woohoo. It's such a great party atmosphere, but everybody's kind of rolled up by like 8 o'clock. Because
Yeah.
there's racing going to be happening. Meanwhile, like in Lemons, they're out to like, not so much the drivers, but or whoever's going to be first up, but they're out to like 1 o'clock in the morning, rolling sideways down the hills because they tripped or something.
Or fixing their car.
Or fixing their car that came broken, or there's a
You know,
lot. There's a, it's kind of almost like a little bit of a frat party meets racing. It's
well,
kind
I
of
think
like
we could have easily said that this was why is Lucky Dog the best racing series, not
For sure.
Lemons. I think that Lucky Dog has every good element of Lemons, except for
Mhm.
IOE,
Right.
and also has sort of the bracket racingness of AER and
Mhm.
They also
Lemons.
do sprint races sometimes.
And they
So
pull in a lot of people from other race series, which
Yeah,
makes
it's
it very interesting. You got really, really great cars, and then you got Lemon's cars, and they're just all up there just having a good time.
So during 2020 or 2021, when they had it's 2021, they normally run the 25 hours of Thunderhill up here. And the cars that are in the 25 under the Thunderhill are proper race cars, like
Yep.
Right.
really, really fast cars. And that year they weren't going to run it because it was 2021 in the middle of the pandemic. And so they showed up in a Lucky Dog race, a bunch of these cars. And
That's
you had
awesome.
these like Caymans, like completely tricked out, like various cars, and it was like that. It was really wild to have like really nice race cars in amongst stuff with like, really
Stuffed animals stacked to the side, tacked to the side of it. Yeah.
alligators on top.
yeah, that was
Alligators on top of the roof.
no, well that wasn't Lemons, it was Lucky Dog.
Oh, yeah.
Or
That was Lucky Dog
Lucky
That was
Dog
when
Lucky
has
we
a
were
Dog.
couple,
there.
not as
Oh,
many, but
really?
a couple.
No, yeah.
oh,
I didn't realize that people are decorating their cars in Lucky Dog.
Well, no, they weren't decorating them for Lucky Dog. Is that
Oh,
because
it's
the
just
Lemons
yeah,
races are over there and it's like a
yeah.
crossover.
Oh, it's definitely like so many of the people who are Lemons. I think actually Lucky Dog actually really cut into the to Lemons fields. Like the Lemons fields got smaller when Lucky Dog got popular for sure.
Hmm.
Like yeah, there's only so many racers out here, and it definitely cut the fields down a little bit.
Well, I also think that there definitely is a segment of Lemons where they have just outgrown it and they need a place to go.
You got to find
And
your flavor.
Yeah,
right.
you're right. You got to find your flavor.
our team went through that, and I don't think it's like there's like you get to be this, oh, I want to be more serious about racing. Like everyone on our team wanted to get more serious about our boat. Let's remove the boat. Let's put better aero on it. And I was
Right.
like, no, let's put an outboard motor in it and let's pull start it and do a motor slop with like a 35 horsepower Evinrude, but I couldn't get anybody on board with it.
But
But
today, I would do it instantaneously. That's what
okay.
I want to do.
That
No,
Well,
that's
sounds
it.
like not retired.
but I hear what you're saying, Vicki. I think like people say they want to they outgrow it. You know what I mean?
A lot
Mhm.
come back though.
Yes. And I think that was what I was saying. Like it's a great place to come back to. I think it really is the best racing series
Yeah.
because of that.
I
I
think,
have a
yeah.
standard saying. Why does it need to be an or when and is so much fun? If you want to
He
race
does say
lemons,
that a lot.
go race lemons. If you want to race AER, go race AER. If you want to race Lucky Dog, go race
Why
Lucky Dog.
does it
Uh,
have to be an or when
Or
it
do
can
them
be an
all.
and?
I was just trying to stay with the theme of the podcast, dude. Of, of course, and
So, what is the vibe of AER then? I have never been to AER.
do you know they are so awesome, and they have their own beer that they brought, which was a good beer. They had so it's a little bit like happy hour. They have a much more professional in and out, like through these RFID gates, so they always know which driver is on track and what their lap times are. Um, the driving is generally better. I will
Cars are
say that.
better.
The cars are better and the drivers are better. There's still a huge speed differential. So, for example, at Mid Ohio, we were probably doing like low 140s, and there was an Audi R8 that was doing like, I don't know, high 20s. It was coming by us like 50 miles an hour faster at
Yeah.
times
Wow.
down the back straight. I mean, it was one of these, it was some kind of endurance car. It had dual dry brakes, and they would just like pass the bottles over and bang, 1 second, and it would be, they'd toss the can and fill the next can. It was such a serious race car. And so classing everything. Like you want to talk speed differential, that's got nothing that had ever, Lemons is nothing compared to that car. I mean, it was insane. Um, it's just they're nice cars. They're nicer cars. They're uh, you know, we were the only people with an open trailer. Most of the people
Wow.
showed up with clothes, if not stacker rigs.
Hmm.
It's not the same level of people, and also like a level of seriousness. Like there was this one Miata that was in like class 3 or something, right? Which is kind of like a faster class. And they were so angry because they thought they should be class 2 and they should be winning. So they left after one day because they were so angry of where they were classed. And I was like,
Well, my thing is too is ever since Mark Patronus and his accident, it's what are you winning that you're going to add that much intensity in the racing to where it doesn't become fun for everything that you've all the money that you've put into it? What are you getting back out besides just like a little scrub on the ego, because you're not getting any monetary, you're not going into any major events. And I'm not saying that winning's not important and stuff like that, but if it's going to ruin your weekend, you know,
Do you think that some of the people have a fantasy that they'll get noticed to become professional racers?
nope, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe that's on
Uh,
them. But you know what?
It depends on the age group.
I have done
Yeah.
stupid shit in the car, just as everyone has.
Mhm.
And I have certainly gone over my ability to drive the car because not that I thought I was going to get noticed, but because I was trying to take a position or something. Because
Mhm.
you're in a race with somebody. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what we do.
right.
Um,
But, risk versus reward at the same time. That's what I just didn't understand about, people going out and getting so angry that they have to pack up and leave. And
Maybe it's a guy thing. I mean,
I
that
don't
just
know.
is exactly the kind of thing that I would do all day long. I mean, it's just that we do that. Like every once in a while, you get the bit between the teeth and then you go as hard as you can.
Hmm.
I mean, I've certainly been guilty of it. I hope to not be guilty of that in the future. What do you think, Ian?
I can imagine a day when there could be like a 24 hours of lemons video game and there's all these crazy cars in there and like 100 people on track. Sorry, I'm getting way off topic, but also sort of on topic, which is that I think it would make a great video game, like that kind of racing. It's bad that doesn't exist.
That is way off topic. Um, why don't you tell us about the best card game of all time?
No.
Okay. Is that a secret?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think it really, I think that like, would it be fun to play it in a video game? Yeah, I think it would. I think that, thank goodness you can edit this afterwards. Going off into obscure topics.
I don't even think you should air this one. It's just so random. Like we've
That's so
honestly spent
random.
like 30% of the time talking about like why lemons is not even that much. But okay, whatever.
I hear you. No. What was the question? My mind had wandered when you asked me that whatever question. What do you think? You know what I was thinking? I have no idea what you just asked me about. That's what I was thinking.
No.
Perfectly honest. I had forgotten entirely. I had lost the thread of the conversation.
Well, Vicki was basically saying about like she doesn't understand why people kind of totally go for it and go
Oh,
Well,
over
it's
it.
not about go for it. It's,
why
to ruin a weekend.
or ruin
Because,
your life, basically, right? Like you could literally ruin your life out there by just being a little bit too aggressive or ruin somebody else's life. Like
hmm
we see this all the time, like where people get a little bit too aggressive and something happens and somebody hits a wall or something like that. Like you could literally accidentally kill somebody in this
hmm
course. Is it really worth it to do something like that? And when people race against each other, like the thing I tell people, like if I was going to tell somebody, what's my number one piece of advice to give somebody? I would say race with people, don't race against them.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
good one.
Like because it's like this aggressive like being against somebody else. Like imagine that the person in the car on the other car that you're racing is like your best friend or your son or your daughter or your mother or sister or whatever. Like what would be the racing that you'd want to have with them? You'd want to having fun dicing with them, not putting them into a wall.
Yeah.
And I think that people it's hard when people get competitive and they lose that perspective of we're all supposed to be here having fun and they want to be just about I've been there too. I've been there to
About the
this
win.
yeah, or it's not just the win, it's just like getting
Entitlement.
getting the
You
better of
feel like
somebody.
you
I don't
feel
know.
like you're,
I want to get
more of a racer than,
no, I just sometimes want to get the better. I want to have a challenge and to come out and have the opportunity to try and win. I don't necessarily have to win, but I like to be given the opportunity in a challenging situation to come out on top, and that will sometimes bring out in me anger or red mist or just bad decisions because I'm just trying to make the most of the situation. And I've lost sight of, is this really important? And what would happen if I crash the car and other bad things happen? Lose sight of
hmm
that in the moment. And honestly, I think that's part of the reason why we do it. Part of the reason why you race is because it creates the singularity of focus and intent and like intensity that makes you forget like that I have to do my taxes, next weekend or whatever it is. And I think that's part of why we do it is for those moments. But those moments are definitely moments of danger.
Yeah.
hmm
I tend to go for the personal challenge of improvement, and whether that's first place or 50th place, I don't really care.
hmm
It's hard when different people have sort of different perspectives. I know people who have been like, I played tennis with people who are so competitive and they're just like screaming at it. Like I would say, it's just tennis, man. And
Yep.
it's like it's not life or death. And he's like, and the person literally said to me, "Yeah, it's more important than life or death."
Yep.
Ooh.
That's what he was thinking about his tennis.
And you know what? And that is the type of competitiveness that is toxic.
Yeah,
But you're going to have a certain amount of the population. You got, let's say you have 150 cars at Lemons Race, average 4 people per car, 600 people. With that, you're going to have 600 different personalities. And in there, you're going to have some of those people.
yeah.
It's probability.
If you like
Mm.
5%, like if there's like this 5% of people who join an organization, who join a race, are going to be there to take enjoyment and screwing it up for other people. That's like if you go to YouTube, if you make some content on YouTube, he's going to get like a 5% or something like that, maybe 4%, whatever it is, of downvotes for things or people taking offense to it or whatever. And it's just like, what do you do about that? You can't get too wrapped up into it.
You mean 20 times those people listen to us and like us? We're doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
No, but like there's always going to be people in the mix who are at that moment angry or whatever, who wouldn't necessarily always be that way. And we have to figure out how to deal with those difficult people.
hmm
Race with them, not against them.
Racing is
That's my
life.
goal.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It just happens in a different rate of speed. Hopefully.
Different amount of
Some
danger.
some cars not so much.
Now
You
I'm
get
thinking about my detractors. I know that I have people that
all
hate
right,
me.
we're gonna have to distract this. We're going the wrong way. Fast and Furious story time questions. We're gonna do it with our first set of twins. What's the
All right.
coolest car ever?
What's the coolest car ever? Is
Aston
this
Martin. I don't know which
Are you
model.
a twin?
Oh, sorry.
no, I
Well,
like that.
My bad.
what's the coolest Aston Martin of all time? I
I
mean,
don't know.
DB5, DBR6, DB5, what is it?
I don't know. Just the older models is all I could say.
Yeah. Okay, so let's not ask that question. Coolest car of all time. Um, God, that's such a good question.
Coolest car. Doesn't have to be the best car. Got to be cool
De Tomaso Pantera.
though. Oh, the
Italian chassis, the original motor swap. Italian chassis, V8 Ford, midship, thin firewall, hear everything going behind you.
the members of
Just like,
Hanoi Rocks would not vote for that car, but that's a different
just,
story.
I'm going for the Delta Integrale.
Oh,
oh, okay.
all right, all right. Well,
Yeah.
before Vicky gets to the thing, I'll take the next one. Let's see. Favorite album of all time, and what is the first album you bought?
First album I bought was The Cars.
Boston.
Probably.
The first album?
No, we bought Boston before that. Yeah, no, but with my own money, maybe The Cars.
The Cars, the first album, or which
Yeah,
album?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. The first album.
that's a very good album.
Yes, it might be one of the best albums of all time. Um, Big Black, Songs About Fucking. That's such a good album.
You just say that because it's called Sounds About Fucking.
No, it's like the first, I mean, it just goes from one to another. Like, they're just all hits on that song, on that album. Oh shit. Um, Bad Brains, Eye Against Eye.
Hey,
That's it.
I've got some
Best
things to
album.
listen to. What about you, Ian? Where you at? First album and best album?
Well, probably it was the same album. We probably had to pool money to get it.
Okay.
No, I remember buying this one on my own.
Do you?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was at the one down by
It
Pete's
doesn't have
records.
to be accurate. Nobody here was there to fest, maybe Mario, but
Well, what do I wish was the first album that I bought? Um,
see,
The
I don't know
Clash.
album. I know CD for
Clash.
sure.
The Clash.
Yeah. Which one?
Their first US album, the green one, was just called The Clash.
Okay.
I remember when you got that one. It was a good album.
Best
Yeah.
best album of all time.
Best album of all time.
All time.
This is so random.
This is a racing podcast with
I
with
know.
with random questions at the end. That's perfect.
Best album. I don't know. The Cramps Flame Job. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it's not like there's a right answer. It can be different next time you come on. Miss Vicky, did you get there yet?
No.
All right. Very well. Favorite thing to eat at or near a track?
Oh, geez.
Then get to the file. You know where it is.
I know I got it.
Well, I think you go to the airport cafe that's near the like airport cafes are a thing. I go to the airport cafe near Thunderhill. That's where I
Okay.
go.
Okay. Mario. And if you say something near New York safety track, we're going to question you.
I don't have a food thing like that.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Very well. Miss
Oh,
Vicky, you ready?
it's called Nancy's Airport Cafe,
I'm
by the way, in case you're
looking
near
at
Thunderhill.
them.
All right. Other hobbies or interests besides racing and
Ooh.
motorcycles?
I mean, what I don't have left? If you
I
like
was going to
look
say
behind,
this is
I've
the
got
hardest thing for you is to figure
handmade
out.
guitars behind me. I've got lock picks in my hand. I've got
Wow, look at you. Do you have a
fencing
band? Do you play
fencing
in a band?
I don't not really fencing
You used to
equipment.
you used to play in a band.
I've got an old Apple IIe. I've got a 3D printer over there printing out a headphone mount right now.
Wow.
Um,
Well, you're the creative, like the really creative one.
I like doing shit with electronics. I like working with my hands, whatever.
Are you
Yeah.
ADD?
Um, that- that's a very interesting question.
Ian
I
says I'm not ADD, I'm easily distracted.
I think
Yeah.
I'm an
So
easily
The
distracted.
only reason why I say it is because you have a lot of interests going on at one time. And I mean that's a really cool thing, but that is like an ADD person that just kind of bounces.
You
I,
should know.
lots of interest. No, I'm not criticizing. I'm
I
just
didn't say you
questioning.
were.
Are you ADD?
Oh,
I
yeah.
am.
God,
Hmm.
yeah. Kills me.
What
yeah.
about
Lots and lots of interests.
sometimes I feel like I might be autistic as well. I actually said to a friend of mine, I said, because we were talking about ADHD and I thought he might be a little ADHD. And I said, I think I might be a little autistic. He said, yeah, I could see that. It's like, I didn't
All right.
say like, wow, you agreed to that really quickly. That was a shock.
Mhm. And if Vicky came home, she's like, I think I have ADHD. And I'm like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mario, what you got? Anything else besides racing
Oh my
and aero?
God. He's got more hobbies than I do.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm spearfishing and building my own spear guns and spearfishing parts. Bow and arrow, building my own arrows and all that other parts. Traditional bow and arrow. I used to shoot compound, but now I don't. I used to make my own bullets and do marksmanship, and so I was into that. I mean, I'm just like obviously I'm building boat parts and
You
building a
guys are
Dodge for a
builders.
sailboat. Yeah, I'm a builder.
Mario
Uh,
said something about games. It's true. Like I'm building some racing games. I'm actually building a card game based on the 24 hours.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
that was my secret that I wasn't going to tell people, but I have a mostly fleshed out card game that's about the 24 hours of lemons.
Nice.
It will be one of the greatest games. And I've got a couple card games. I'm making one on motorcycle racing and another one on spearfishing. And dude, like I've got a couple guitars. I'm trying to learn this Tool song right now.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know.
starting easy.
Yeah. Um, just lots and lots of hobbies. Too
All right.
many.
Mhm.
Miss Vicky, you got there yet?
Yes, I do.
You pick one?
Yes, I do.
Any hesitation?
What
I'm
was
going
your
again.
most memorable breakdown on a road or a track?
I think probably in 11th grade when my girlfriend broke up with me.
Not break up, break down.
Similar.
Oh,
I was I was
Might have been a good thing. You never know.
yeah, I
I
was
didn't
telling
mean mental breakdown. What's your most memorable mental breakdown?
I was towing my car to Willow Springs, the Miata behind my Ranger, which wasn't really big enough car to tow it down there, but and the straps came off, like were loose on the car, and that didn't cause a problem. I caught them in time and strapped it down in time. But then later, my hitch pin, it was one of these hitch pins with like a little flip-flop kind of mechanism.
Hmm.
And on the interstate in a construction zone with all these cars behind me in front of me and going up and down like these very bumpy stuff, the hitch pin came off and I lost the trailer behind me, dragging behind me on the safety chains. And so I had to go to the side of the road and like make a hitch pin out of, spare parts that I had around like stuff. You've been there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
on the
Yeah,
way home
that
from New Hampshire.
sucks, doesn't it?
it
It's sort of
does.
panicking when it's like, oh, but afterwards I was like, oh, so the worst thing that I could possibly have imagined on this trip has happened. I was like, okay, I guess I'm okay now.
I guess you're good now.
Yeah, that's not a
Uh,
party.
Turn 6 Watkins Glen was a bad one. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, it was racing with this E30, and we were trying to outbrake each other, and we barely touched. I mean, I can just still see it, just a wiggle, but that was enough to send us into the inside wall, smash the front of the car, and send us to the back side of the wall and smash the back of the car. Like on any other racetrack, we would have laughed about this, but like Watkins Glen suffers no amateurs,
nope.
and that
All
was
right.
an expensive day,
So
You
here's
get
the
you get
thing, Mario paid for that other guy's car.
not in full.
No, but you spent thousands of dollars. You gave him thousands of dollars
I did.
in that thing. And how many people would do that?
not as many as they should. All right. One of our new questions. You're going to be the first two recipients. I don't know how to say who's first. So, why do you love driving or racing?
It's that thing I was talking about, that focus where everything else goes away and there's only one thing that's left. It's like the one thing that you have to do. And it's like when you're driving the limit, it doesn't even have to be racing, but when you're driving the absolute limit, and it's like you have to have 100% focus. And if you don't, and if you lose that focus, you know that something bad might happen. And being able to keep that focus and keep it for a little while. And like that to me was the reason to do it. It's that feeling that I could,
that's
that just right.
ADD.
I, I saw you like out of the corner of my, because I'm pacing a different way, and I saw you coming in on the camera, getting closer and closer, and I was like, I know what she's gonna say.
That's ADD. That's the hyper focus of ADD.
Really?
Like-
Is that what that is?
So many people say that have ADD. They said that's why they like racing. It's the hyper focus you get out of it. Everything else melts away.
Yeah, that's why I did it. It's like for me, it's a very
That's why
special feeling.
that's probably a good answer for me too. It's pretty damn close if it's not that.
Good answer. All right. Miss Vicki, got one?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay.
Let me see.
Why is Lemons the best racing series for ADD people?
So much focus. Where would your ultimate road trip be, guys?
We've talked about this many times.
Oh, we
We've
have.
talked about
Oh,
doing like
to each other?
we've talked about doing things like one lap of America or like doing a tour across the country or whatever, something like that. Like where you're like,
I'd
I,
love to do that thing with Ross where he goes to like Spa and Nürburgring.
That'd be fun.
hmm,
I would
hmm.
totally do that. He's such a awesome dude, and that's be such an incredible track. And those are two like bucket lists for me.
Mhm.
And they use Hyundai's like I think I-30Ns or something. So like
For me, it would be to go to Brands Hatch.
Cool.
I want to drive Brands Hatch. It's my favorite track in the sim racing world, and I've never been there in real life, and it would be to drive Brands Hatch.
seems like you could do that in this lifetime. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's that complicated. I love traveling to England, so
No, do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Got to get back to racing. So what is your favorite cereal now or growing up?
Oh, geez. So random.
Come
What
on.
the heck?
Count Chocula.
Nice.
Oh, Jesus.
What were you
Nice.
gonna say, Frankenberry?
I was gonna go
He's more blueberry kind of guy.
no, I was thinking more about now than but
Quisp.
no, I can actually
Oh,
remember one time when I was dieting, I'm a serial dieter, and one of the things that I was doing, I had this idea like after I get down to a particular weight, I get to have a bowl of this particular cereal. Like that was the goal. Not that it was an important goal, just that I had one. And so when I got down to that weight, I got the bowl of cereal and it was Fruity Pebbles.
Oh,
I could see that.
Yeah, it's very much like Frankenberry. It's Fruity Pebbles.
Except it won't cut the shit out of your mouth. Fruity Pebbles is like smaller flakes. It's
hmm
smarter.
Yeah. Fruity
less
Pebbles.
rippable.
Fruity Pebbles is the one for me.
Yeah, Captain Crunch is the one that tears up my mouth.
Yeah, oh my
Oh,
God. It's
because
like
you can't wait. Like if it
no.
waited, it
Yeah,
wouldn't, but you
you
can't
can't.
wait.
It's
No,
just cut to ribbons in the inside of your
Yeah,
mouth.
exactly. Yep.
I miss that.
Miss
Hmm.
Vicky, where are you going?
Let me see.
You snooze, you lose. All right, Space Mountain Rushmore.
What?
I have the Space Mountain Rushmore.
I don't know
It
what that
is
means.
your best actor, male and female, and best musician or singer, male and female, of all time.
Actors and musicians?
Yep.
Well, I don't give a shit about actors.
Me either.
Okay.
So, but musicians,
You can have
uh,
four musicians then.
Uh, well, let's
Lux in,
just.
Lux Interior and Poison Ivy from the Cramps. That's a husband-wife duo who did the Cramps.
Okay. That's two of them.
That's two of them.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't going for a loophole there, trying to get a little extra.
No,
I was going to say trying to get a little extra head there,
I
but
mean,
I probably should rephrase.
I'm gonna take David Bowie for both the actor and the singer.
Okay.
And
So two Bowies. Do we want one Ziggy and one Bowie or
no, just David Bowie.
just David Bowie?
Um,
Okay.
um, and, no, I don't really have one. No, I don't. I just recently discovered. I mean, she's been around for a while. Meg Myers. I've just recently discovered her. Yeah,
Meg
no,
Myers.
she's not my favorite. I just said her. Whatever.
well, I'm going with another duo, another band, an obscure band,
Okay.
Lynn Ann Williams and Matt Brown from Trespassers William.
No, that's a good one.
Cool. Mario, are you surrendering?
Yeah, this is not like my kind of. I don't know. I don't.
We have more questions. It's fun.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
actress. I'm gonna go with my sister,
uh,
Mia.
really?
Yep. All
Okay.
right, let's just plug that shit. Mia's an
Okay.
actor. She was in, what's the most famous movie she was in? Jerry Maguire.
Mia?
Hmm.
Jerry Maguire?
All of her scenes were cut. So she
Oh,
doesn't appear in any of the scenes, but she gets more money and residuals probably from Jerry Maguire than she gets from anything else, despite being completely cut from the scene. And
So
I'm
she made the
wondering,
credits.
is there, yeah, I think, yeah, is there a DVD version that has her scenes in it or something like that somewhere? Yeah, she plays his girlfriend. Like he breaks up with whatever Renee Zellweger or whatever at
Mm-hmm.
some point in time, and then there's like this point, like there's this part of the whole story that he's got another girlfriend, and it's Mia, my sister. I've never seen that part.
Hmm.
Right now, the first thing that comes up is One Life to Live.
Yeah, I mean that's
she was Blair on One Life to Live. A lot of people know her from that.
the first Blair.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be late 80s probably.
Miss Vicky,
What?
do you have one more?
Yeah. Let me see. What is your family car or from your neighborhood that you remember the most?
Oh, family car from yeah.
1982 Toyota Corolla Tercel.
Was it an
Hmm.
80 was it 82?
I just said that.
No, it was early. It might have been 1979, as early as a 79 or 80 actually.
You're right.
Yeah, but it was a Toyota Corolla Tercel, which is a really weird car because it has it's a front wheel drive car with an inline four cylinder.
Yeah, and it was a Corolla and a Tercel. Like they
Yeah.
didn't know which one it was.
Yeah. So think about that. An inline front wheel drive with an inline four cylinder. Like
You
that
mean
doesn't,
longitudinal, not
yeah.
transverse.
Yeah. Sorry. Like inline with in longitudinal, not transverse, a longitudinal four
I think there
cylinder.
were other ones. Yeah. I mean,
Not many,
944. 944. Yeah.
but that wasn't front wheel drive.
Oh, duh. Oh,
It's a
front wheel.
front wheel drive with a longitudinal inline with longitudinal form. Like that's a weird thing.
That's a
It,
good point.
it quite is.
Yeah.
It's a cool car though. And that was our family car. And then I painted it up with my first livery. I did black on the bottom and yellow on the top, like you kind of see like on a Ferrari Boxster 512 or something. And then I put these stickers on the door, like airplane pilots would put for like kill stickers. So it had like a cat and a dog and like 3.5 people, like, you know, and it got stolen in New York and Manhattan, unfortunately. But that was our family car that I eventually took over.
That was
I
a
could
great
bump,
car.
I could bump start that thing in 30 feet by myself on flat ground. I would run next to the car and just jump in. In 30 feet, I could bump start that thing. Yeah, I love that car.
Solo.
That was a great car.
Yeah. 68 horsepower or something, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Jennifer's not here. Favorite car movie or car from a movie of all time?
I don't know, Batmobile original.
Oh,
Mm.
Adam
No.
West.
Mach 5, GRX. Um,
You see, this is when we can't help you cheat. You have to answer
DB5.
it.
Yeah, Aston Martin DB5. James Bond.
James Bond,
Yeah. The one with
yeah,
Sean.
yeah, Sean Connery's D5. Yeah,
DB5. Yep.
I'd probably go with that one too.
It's not a bad car. We could do worse.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
maybe no. I'm just gonna go differently. I'm gonna go with Batmobile. That's because that's what I first said. The original Batmobile, Adam West Batmobile.
Adam West Batmobile.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming on
Yeah.
again. We babbled, we wandered, we
Oh my God.
Just edit the shit out of this thing because that is way too long for anyone to listen to.
no.
Yeah,
Fucking
It is.
nobody
really
should
is.
listen to
There's
this.
so much randomness in it.
We should
Yeah.
just like re-record this and like get Ben on the phone and just like stick to an agenda.
Agenda? Have
It
you
was-
met
I-
a podcast?
Wasn't this? It's turned into like the Vicki ADHD fest.
Yep, pretty much.
Hey, I'm in that too. I mean, I
Yeah.
want to do that too, but I kept feeling bad for our listeners who might have actually tuned in to listen to why Lemons is the best racing series.
People want to know what your favorite concert ever was. That's just how it goes.
Oh.
They
You
need
didn't
to
ask that,
know. They need to
But you didn't do
know.
that. Yeah.
I can do
You
worst
didn't ask that.
concert. I can do
Vicki,
worst
thanks for the
concert ever.
diagnosis today, by the way.
Yeah. Well, you are ADHD, and whether you like it or not.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask me that recently.
Did you pay attention while they were asking or no?
I mean,
Exactly.
Hey, when are you guys going to come to Pineview? Let's just
Uh,
cut this off right now. Can you sign us off so I can keep
I
talking?
can. Let me do one more thing first. People want to find out more about Arrow, they go to.
OccamsRacer.com.
That's right. People want to find more about how they suck at racing, they go to.
you suck at racing.com or maybe just look in the mirror.
Thank you guys.